In a world of podcasts, one rises in the night to destroy them all. The elder god in an ocean of noise, the Cthulhu of the airwaves. This is Spoiler Country.
Welcome again to another episode of Spoiler Country. Today on the show, we have Samuel Vera. Samuel is not only another podcaster, he is with Craze, but he is also a comic book writer. So, Samuel, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How's it going?
I'm good, man. That cold intro, man, just hitting it out of the park. No, man. So, last time I talked to you, it was because you were talking to me about a book I wrote with Dan Price, and now you're on here with us talking about your book. So tell me, man, like, what is this book?
There's an alien in my toilet. His name is Duty. He's from Uranus, and he's tasked with a secret mission to Earth to determine if we're a threat to his homeworld. Well, at least that's what he thinks he's on. It's really the General Goatee trying to get Duty out of his hands for a little bit. He needs a breather because he is responsible for Duty because Duty's father is the Emperor of Uranus. So he sends Duty to Earth. He doesn't think anything will come of it because Earthlings don't believe in UFOs and they chuck it off as, weather balloons and because of the government. So he says, no harm will come. So he sends him on this fool's errand. But Duty thinks it's the most important mission of his life and that he's the only one capable of handling it. So in his arrogance and haste, he gets on board the ship and he heads to Earth, realizes he forgot to refuel. He crash lands. And rather than his mistake, he chalks it up as part of his plans to infiltrate Earth's defenses. But now he has to survive Earth. Simple creatures like woodpeckers and wolves and bears. And he eventually gets into a house where there's a Chihuahua named Herman who believes Duty's a talking jalapeno, and he has to get this thing that's in the house.
Man, that's a lot. Where did you come up with this idea?
The influence was from an editor from a newspaper who was looking for a sci-fi comedy comic strip for their paper. And they had approached us at a con. And so I was driving through the Lincoln Tunnel and then boom, Duty showed up in my head and he says, "Hi, I'm Duty from Uranus." And that's how it started. And so I got to IHOP and I started drawing fleshing him out and the whole thing. And then I started doing a comic strip and I said, you know what? I'm not going to do a comic strip. I'm going to do a full-fledged comic and I'm not going to give it to the papers. I'm going to do it myself. And that's what happened. And so I just started working on Duty and he got a lot of attention. And in 05, 06, when I launched it, national and local attention, and then I left comics for a long time.
That's crazy. And coincidentally, like every time I go to IHOP, I'm also working on a Duty. So, like, I mean, it's like, you and me, buddy, we're the same. So, like, you've been doing this for a while then.
Yeah.
So how many issues of this do you have going?
So there are 6 issues already completed. It's a 10-part miniseries. The punchline is in issue 10. So, when people hear the title, they think it's very scatological. It's not. It's an all-ages sci-fi comedy series that the whole family can enjoy. And the title, you won't know the relevance until the last issue. And then it spins off into Duty, his own series. And that's going to be an ongoing. And it's going to be Duty's second coming to Earth, where he believes now that Santa Claus is the leader of Earth, and he has to infiltrate Santa's camp and take him out, and he has to get past his defenses of the snowmen and the elves and all that stuff.
So, I'm an adult. You're an adult. I've never tried writing for like all ages and smaller audience. Right. It sounds very hard.
I've never grown up. So the physical form has, but the inner kid in me has never changed. I love humor. I love comedy, where most people like gore and violence. I just love comedy. I love all ages. I love Christmas movies. And I was introduced to comics by my mom when I was a kid. She read Archie comics and it was safe for kids, and when I first picked up a book, I picked up the G.I. Joe comic books and Sergeant Rock because I collected G.I. Joes.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Rock was That was some awesome stuff in the 80s.
Yeah, but I always went back to Fraggle Rock and, the Never Ending Story. And then when Alf, the TV series came on, it was over. I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. I just saw that they have the new Alf figure coming out, collectible figure. I'm like, oh, that's me. For me, it's just been, I felt like there's not enough. And it's just natural for me to create all ages stories. I have a whole library of children's books that I've created. So so I just think there's not enough. And with Duty, it was just a natural extension. When he introduced himself to me, I just knew what he was going to be, and that he was going to be for all ages.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You mentioning Alf earlier, I have an 11 and a 7-year-old, and my wife and I were trying to explain Alf to them the other day, and they were like, pardon me? It was such they're like, no, he lives in his people's house, and they try to hide him, and yeah, there he is. He tries to eat their cat, but they let him stay around. And my 7-year-old was like, you're making this shit up. Like, no, man.
I have every TV episode. I have every comic book.
That's awesome.
And I have every episode of the animation. So I was just in high school. My teachers were so annoyed. My entire loose leaf book was all filled with just Alf illustrations.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we have I'm down in Alabama, and we have a regional hamburger chain that is like White Castle, but it's better because, like, I'm ride or die. No, like they're called Crystal, little square hamburgers, and they steam them, and they're slimy but good, especially with the pickles. And you can have pickle races if you eat there, where you take the pickles off and you slap them on the glass and watch them trail down the window. Anyway,
crazy.
They had a promotion when I was a kid where if you bought like 2 sacks of Crystals, you could get like a tiny stuffed Alf doll and you remember those records that were like flimsy?
Yes.
Yeah, it was that and like an Alf record.
Oh, wow.
And we bugged the crap out of my folks until I got my Alf stuffed animal in the flimsy record. And yeah, it was apparently Alf liked Beach Boys style rock and roll, because that's what yeah. Anyway,
you can't go wrong without. I'm just waiting for them to come up with a Netflix series or another made-for-TV movie.
Do you think they'll actually reboot it? That would be
the fact
amazing.
That they're coming up with coming up with a new 7-inch collectible doll. That means there's something in the works.
That is crazy. Oh yeah, I'm totally here for it if they do that. Yeah. I would love that. So you do that. And man, you've been at it for a while. You have plans for furthering the series. Where can people get this book?
Right now, the campaign is on Kickstarter. So issue 1 is on Kickstarter right now. There's 11 days left, and there's 5 variant covers. There's a sketch cover. There's a coloring book. There's a guidebook to all the characters in the series. There's a trading card set, which is part of a trading card game that's in development. There's a plush doll. There's a 6-inch figure.
Holy smokes!
Yeah. So there's an educator's bundle, because every issue of Disneyland in My Toilet has 4 pages of problem-solving questions, word puzzles, trivia, and mazes for kids and the family to enjoy. So Duty encourages learning. So this is a great way to introduce the next generation to comics, and the adults to have fun and laugh, and the kids to fall in love with the character. And that's going to follow the steps of the Marvin, the Martians, and the Elves of the world. And so I'm trying. So there's a digital educators bundle and a physical, and there's also retail bundles as well.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome. So my wife's an educator. She teaches kindergarten, and getting them engaged in anything like that is so, especially, and even just as a dad. Yep. My daughter went to a book fair the other day and bought a comic for the Plants vs. Zombies, which I didn't know they had a comic series, but apparently they're doing gangbusters. And my daughter bought it, and it was so rewarding seeing her just kind of like, on the floor on her tummy, reading the book with her little feet kicking in the air. It's the best best thing ever, seeing your kid just fully absorbing themselves into the comic. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and you're kind of carrying on that tradition, and it's great because I don't know. I think a lot of indie folks are so myopic with what they think comics should be and who their audience is, and if you don't foment if you don't make something that new people will want, then the comics that the industry will die. So getting new eyes onto comics is so amazing.
Yeah. It's a challenge too, especially when it's all ages, because I think what happens is, the trend right now is, the violence. The trend is also, the remaking of classic characters. And so when you say all ages, some people are like, oh, that's for kids. It's, I'm too cool for that, or whatever it is. What I say is read it. You're going to laugh. Read the first couple of pages. You're going to laugh, and you're going to want to pick it up. And I don't care if you're bodybuilding in the gym and you're trying to flex, and because of the girls, you're going to read the book and you're going to laugh. And then you're going to want to give it to your nephew or your daughter or your kid and say, you know what, you need to read this. This is a great character, and then let them decide what to do with it from that point on. But I think we need to start introducing the next generation, because everyone's so hooked on technology. And there's a reason why I put the educational part in it, because you want to inspire creativity and the exploration, right? And then that's what Duty does with this series. So there's questions tied to the book, but also to space and science. And so it allows them to use the skills that are being filtered with technology, because everything's at your disposal. You can Google it and have the answer without the research and without the work. And so I think reading is the key to exploration, and research is the key to growth.
That's awesome. Yeah. And kids are tactile learners anyway. Yeah. So having that physical thing to hold and to manipulate, there's so much to be said for that. So, man, yeah, I'm stoked about this. I'm really, really stoked about this. So not only are you doing this, you also have your own podcast called Catch the Craze. It's an amazing show. You're on YouTube, Catch the Craze, look it up. How did that start?
That started at the same time, around 2005, when I when I first came into comics, Crazy Comics, which was my imprint. It was hard to get exposure. And so I went to a pod camp. It was at the Hilton, the New Yorker Hotel on 8th Avenue in New York City. And there, podcasting was just phasing in. It was coming, a lot of the cooking shows were doing it. And there were two big podcasters at that time, Comic Geek Speak and iFanboy. But they were focused on the big two. And so no one was giving any recognition to the little guys. So went to the pod camp, started asking questions, and immediately I said, I'm doing this. And I went to Sam Ash and I said, I need a mixer, I need some microphones, I need some cables. And so I went home, I connected everything, and I had JVC camcorders. It was crazy. And, we had this big camcorder on one end, another camcorder that was before these webcams. And I told George, and the guys said, we're podcasting now. It's Catch the Craze. And that's how we started. And then once we made the announcement, the indies started flooding. And it was everybody. It was Michael Oeming, of Powers. We had the Dable brothers. We had LaShawn Thomas of Boondocks. I mean, we had everybody.
Oh, wow.
So we had Neil Adams was on our show. So it was popular in the independent circuit, and we were doing audio streaming. And at that time, we were getting 50, 60, 70,000 streams, and we didn't know what that was. Right. It was like, oh, this is great. Right. This is great stuff, because the part that we missed was the monetization part. Right. And so then we started doing live interviews at the Comic Cons, and I started a YouTube channel, and we were getting 2,000-3,000 views, 4,000 views. I was like, oh, what's going on? And but then when I left comics, I left podcasting too. I left everything. So I didn't realize what we had at that time. In late 2008 is when I left comics and podcasting for over 10 years. And then when I came back in 2019, and George and I met up, I said, I'm bringing back Catch the Craze. You want to come down, come back on? And he said, sure. And then I made my announcement on Facebook that I was going to come back into comics. And Mark Torres, it came from the radio, wanted me to make that announcement on his radio show. So I drove to Long Island to the radio station, and I made my announcement there.
Oh, wow. Wow. Was there can you talk about why you left comics, or is that just?
Yeah, it was a series of things. So when I put all my eggs in, I was funding everything myself. So I was working full time and funding everything. And then I knew that, we were doing 18 conventions a year. And I knew that if I would, yes. And I knew that if I wanted to take it to the next level, I needed to play in a different arena. So I convinced my wife to let me max out my Platinum Discover card. Don't know why they gave me that much credit, but I went to Licensing Expo. It cost over 10 grand. I got a big booth and the whole bit and set up everything, set up shop. And now all of the licensing organizations and the big film companies took notice. It was, we couldn't handle the types of conversations they wanted to have with us. So we met with Circle of Confusion, who they represented the Wachowski brothers, The Matrix. They represented Robert Kirkman with The Walking Dead. They had all these big names. So they said, look, this is what we'll do. We will filter out the who's who and who's serious, who's not. And we don't get paid until we secure you a deal. And this is our fee. And that's sure. And so we went with them and we started talking with Disney and Warner Brothers, and there was a lot of interest. And then it was the first quarter of the new year, and all of the corporations, everybody knows big business. In January is review time. You get your annual review. They change leadership. They eliminate people. They promote people. They change divisions. That's what happened. So everything that was on the table was trash because new teams were in place and they were starting over, going a different direction. That and the fact that it was burning my finance. Now I was digging a debt hole, and so I had to just walk away. So between that and a few other internal things, I just like, you know what, I'm burnt out. This was I put everything on black, and it landed on red, and so I needed a break, and so I left. I didn't even make an announcement. I just disappeared for 10 years.
Oh man,
yeah,
that is a crazy story, and I hate that happened. I'm glad you're back. It really made me think of the Jack Kirby quote, like, comics will break your heart, because I mean it's a lot that you went through to then have to start back over. What made you decide to come back?
Well, I focused. I just buried myself in retail corporate America, and I excelled fast, and I did really well. And it was, we normal, finances were in order. We have a house now. Everything was nice. And I always had my studio, but it was always a museum. So I'd walk in, I had my draft table and everything. It was just a museum collecting dust. And I just looked at my wife and said, honey, I said, I don't want to live with regrets. I want to finish what I started. I said, I'm smarter now. Back then I was young and, reckless. And she gave me the Adrian speech that she gave Rocky, and she said, go for it. And I was like, all right, I'm in it. And that was it. And I knew I wanted to come back. And I knew I was going to start with the podcast to start building that audience again. And when I started the podcast back up in 2019, my YouTube channel dropped significantly. All of the subscribers dropped off over the years. And it dropped to 49. We have 49 subscribers in 2019. 2 years ago. And so I was like, George, it's going to be an uphill battle because now we're coming back into a saturated market. We were trendsetters back then, and now we are just a guppy in a big ocean. And so no one knows who we are. They're going to remember those that were with us. We're going to remember what we did, but now we have to start over. And so we just went in full force, like we never left, like gangbusters, and when we made the announcement, the first 3 months we invited guests. After that, we didn't have to invite anybody anymore. They were just flooding in.
One thing that I realized from the experience of being on your show is your production was on point, but y'all had it together. And in the the sphere that we're in with indie comics and people that focus on indie books, a lot of time that ain't the case, man. No, like they're like on their their iPhone 8 and like just throwing caution to the wind and shitty modem and just making it happen. But yeah, you guys, like, obviously you know what you're doing and you have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was very impressed with how you do the show.
Thank you.
So do you have any big plans for the future with Catch the Craze?
Yeah. So the whole thing with Catch the Craze is really to take it as far as we can. And the goal right now is just to build our subscriber base, expand, and hopefully get sponsored where we can bring it to a location rather than me doing it from home. And so, but it's going to take some time because it's going to take things to normalize itself when everyone starts going back to work and now they don't have time for podcasting, and the grandmother could put the mic down and the 2-year-old could put their podcasting equipment away, because once COVID hit, everybody started podcasting, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think, so now there's just so many options, right? So I think and I told George, I said, we just have to stay the course, stay focused, and just keep raising the bar with what we do. And it'll come. It's just going to be a slow and steady increase. So with Crash the Craze, it's our way of just giving back to the independent community and hopefully, help raise awareness with that. But the primary focus is really what we do individually with our books. And, and hopefully, branch that out. George has a book called Wonder Duck, and I have There's Nathaniel in My Toilet. And what we're trying to do is he's trying to build an audience with his following, and then hopefully bring them to Catch the Craze, and then hopefully bring all of them to Catch the Crazies, the comic books that we do together. So to just continue to grow our base.
That's awesome. Have you had any success with that? Just like getting, kind of bringing people in from all sides?
Yeah. So that's what makes it work, because, George already, we've been like, the first time we spoke was in 10 years. We didn't speak for 10 years. Like, I was gone.
Really?
I just disappeared. So when we met up after 10 years, I already, I was out in a different arena. I was not in comics. He stood in comics for those 10 years. And so he already had a small following. So he brought that collective with him. And then I just had people who were just loyal to me that would just come along for the ride. And then what happened was, we've made fans of guests who, when they saw the show, when they saw the quality, then they brought their people over, so their followers start subscribing to the show. And that's what we're hoping to do, because when we grow, the community grows, and that's our focus. I said, because more eyes are on the channel, that means that independent creator, when they come on, they're going to expose their brand and their creativity to that audience, and that's what we want. So we're really focused on engagement. We just don't want subscribers. We want engagement. And so that's why we do more live shows.
Yeah.
So because we're trying to build that, we just started a new show called The Morning Brew with the Crazy Crew, which is every Thursday mornings at 9 a.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's a show every day of the week on Catch the Craze, which is great. We're live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then Mondays and Fridays are pre-recorded shows.
That's wild. That's awesome. That's one thing. When we started the campaign for Bigfoot Knows Karate, I had never. My experience with podcast was purely this, like doing a pre-recorded podcast, which then goes out like a week later or whatever, and doing a live show I had never done before, and it scared scared the crap out of me, because what if I have a booger? Like, what if I say something stupid? I always say something stupid, so like I shouldn't have even worried about that. But the amount of engagement that you guys get with the live shows is phenomenal, and you get some diehard people behind you, which is not only like shows like where you guys are at in terms of like what you can do, but also it's just like the type of fan that you guys are securing. Like, you're really finding some people that they love indie comics. One thing as an indie creator I've noticed is like you kind of have to make your own party, build your own table, all that fun stuff. Yeah, earlier I was talking about shitty internet and stuff. Yeah, we are about 30 minutes outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and man, it can get sketchy sometimes. So I saw somebody on the way home today from work. I saw some workers on the pole working on the cable lines. I was like, motherfucker. Like, this is gonna bite me in the ass. So yeah, that's yeah.
There you go. It happens.
So anyway, what were we talking about? We're talking about the podcast, and talking about the need for you as a creator to build your own party, to make your own party.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's what you guys are doing so well through social media, through your show, through, you're utilizing all of the tools you have available and making something bigger. Do you have any advice for folks that are just starting out?
The first thing I would say is figure out why you're doing it. And then once you've identified that why you're doing it, then go to a dry erase board and list all the things you will do and will not do. And if you have more than one thing on the do not list, I wouldn't focus on as a career. Stick with it as a hobby. If you're going to try to build something from it, then you got to realize it's going to require sacrifice and commitment. And with sacrifice, I mean, when you want to go and play, World of Warcraft versus going out and try to build your brand, I would put that gaming away and focus on building your brand. Because
real nerd.
Yeah, it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of time and sacrifice. And one of the things is if you're in a relationship, make sure you are able to give that person the time they need, and that they're willing to give you the time that you need as well. So, like we lock in an entire day where it's just my wife and I, and because I do 6 days a week and I'm hustling, and so so one day a week my phone goes in the drawer. And it's just whatever she wants to do, wherever she wants to go. I don't care what it is. I don't care how mundane it is. It's all about her. And the rest of the time I get up at 7, after I feed the dogs and take them out, I come up to the studio. I do all of my social media posting. It takes me about 2 hours because there's about, 12 platforms that I'm on. And then, you have to create the graphics for all the different dimensions and the different locations. Then I go work out. Then I come back up. And I start editing videos or creating thumbnails for the guests that we have lined up for the show. I dedicate about 2 hours to the podcast and the behind the scenes stuff, administrative. And then I spend another 2 to 3 hours on just learning, research and development, just going out, figure out what's trending, what's the new platform, what's the new way of networking with licensing agents and all this other stuff, whatever. So I'm always constantly looking at what's happening and trying to make sure that I'm aware of how I need to position myself in the market. Then I'll spend another 3 hours just drawing. I'll go to my draft table and I'll start drawing, working on one of the books. And throughout the day, George and I talk about 3 to 4 times a day. And then I'm always constantly, if I have a campaign, I'm constantly posting and checking on the campaign and looking at the analytics and trying to see how to convert people who've signed up into actual pledges, all this other stuff. So, and then usually on a live podcast. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and it's just making sure that I balance my time where, exercise is huge for me because I spend a lot of time on a chair. So
you're on your ass a lot. Yeah.
So I make sure that I'm on the bike or I'm running around with the dogs. I'm working out. And I usually get off the chair about 6 times a day just to go, I have a big yard, so I'll go and I'll throw the ball with the dogs and run around and play hide and seek just to get my legs and the blood flowing. But yeah, that's what my day looks like. But know your why and don't have any limits on yourself.
So you brought up some things that I don't think anyone has ever mentioned before, which is, figure out why you're doing it and what you want to say, and make sure that you can do it within your personal life and also get off your ass. There have been so many just sugar-coated answers and stuff, but those are really important things that I don't think people really want to think about because it's not sexy, it's not pretty, it's not something that gratifies them as a creator or whatever, but it's something that you have to think about. It's something that you have to factor into what you create and how you create.
Absolutely. I think you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, because look, anything that you're going to invest in, it's going to be obstacles, and you have to have the temperament and the courage to see it through, but you also have to be honest with what's happening. I think what happens is everyone uses social media to mask their real life, right? To create this illusion of happiness and greatness and all this other stuff. And in reality, they're in turmoil. just be honest. There's nothing easy about trying to fulfill your dream in an arena where everybody else is doing the same thing, right? So what's going to set you apart? It's the grit. It's the honesty. It's the grit. It's the hustle. It's the no quitting attitude. And you have to believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anybody else to do it? Right?
Exactly.
And inside, a lot of the indie creators are insecure, right? Inside, they're second guessing. Am I good enough? That question is always, that happens with me. And I shut it up, and I just shut it down. I say, look, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I believe in what I do. And if one person embraces it, one step, that's one more brick that I'm laying down on the foundation. And, and then hopefully the next brick comes, and I laid that brick down, and then they keep until you build that first wall. Now you start working on that second wall. So every person that you attract to what you do is just another brick in that foundation. So you just have to stay focused. If you're doing it for someone else, you lost already. You have to do it for yourself.
You heard it here first, guys. Sam Vera, build the wall. No, I'm joking. Fuck that. Sorry, man. I hate that guy. Yeah, you made some awesome points, and like, how do you keep from getting burnt out? Because that's a shit ton of work.
I get burnt out all the time.
I'm sorry about that.
No, I get burnt out all the time. You can ask George. What it is? I'll talk to George, and I'm like, this is bullshit, right? So I unload on him, right? And then we start laughing, and he goes, "Oh, you good yet? You good now?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I just need to get it out," because there are days where you like, man, you'll go like, 3 weeks and we didn't get a new subscriber, or if you have a campaign, 5 days go by and nobody backs it. Like, all those things, very discouraging, right? Disheartening. And you start like, damn, man, what am I doing wrong? And I put the burden on me. And so with that, I just have to dig deeper. So I always try to find something that's going to spark that. So sometimes I just need to break away and go watch something on television. There was a week where I was having a really bad time, and then I just happened to watch Cruella. And so,
that was so good.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Thought it was gonna suck, but it was so good.
Yes, it was so good. I mean, the visuals are brilliant. So I was like, and I was back in the game, right? And sometimes you just need to recalibrate. You just need to detox and break away, see something else, experience something else, and it provides a new perspective on what you're doing. And then sometimes you have a aha moment, like, I didn't even see that, and now I know why. And then you're just back in the game. So burnout happens all the time. You just have to be able to deal with it, reset fast. You know what I'm saying? Get it off your chest. Don't let it linger. Don't let it go on for days. Deal with it, reset, move on.
So there's an alien in my toilet, yada, 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 whatever. Cruella, that soundtrack was fire. It was so good.
Yes.
Like, it was all amazing. The way through.
Yes.
I was prepared to hate that movie. And I was just like, I was kind of hate watching it at first. I was like, this. So yeah. Sorry. Sorry to go back to that. But yeah, burnout. It happens, and so you find something to kind of recharge your batteries. Yeah,
you got to always find something, whether it's reading a book, whether it's going out. You got to find something that's just going to help you reset, because it's normal. It's normal.
What are you into now? Like, what's inspiring you?
What's inspiring me? What are we watching? We're watching something. What the hell are we watching? We're watching a series. I just can't remember the dang name.
I just finished Peacemaker the other day, and
I saw Peacemaker. She's not into. Oh, we're watching. What's Batman's assistant's name?
Oh, Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, so we're watching that for the first time.
That's good.
Yes, it's really good.
I haven't seen it, so
yes. So we're watching that, and it's really cool.
My TV time is restricted to like whatever honestly, like I just let my wife pick out whatever, and then because I know she's not going to like what I want to see normally.
Right.
So we've been binge watching 60 Days In, which is like a prison show. The Righteous Gemstones on HBO, which is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, it is every Pentecostal church that I've ever been to that is. So like, don't watch it if you're going to get like pissy about stuff, but oh my gosh, it's insane.
Yeah. It's funny because my wife actually picked Penny's Worth. She saw let's see what this is about. And I'm usually watching it at 11 o'clock at night because that's when I close up shop and from work, so I'll start at 7 a.m. and I'm done at 11 p.m. So and then I go downstairs and till about 12:30, 1 a.m. we're watching it, and then I fall asleep, and then I wake up at 7 again. So that's what we're watching right now. So I've been watching one episode a day.
Nice.
I fall asleep.
Nice.
She'll binge watch. My wife she's seen everything on Netflix. I don't have time to see everything, and then because I'm usually watching it when I'm done, and I'm usually my eyes are getting heavy, and I never make it past the hour.
Yeah. I wake up at 4 every morning, so making it past 10:30 is a feat.
Yeah.
I'll start nodding off, and she'll like push me like it's time to go to bed. But yeah. So are you reading any comics now? Are you actively reading any series?
Not actively reading. I'm collecting them. I haven't read them. So I've collected the King Spawn, and I'm a Spawn fan, but I haven't read them yet. So I have a pile, and then I have a pile of indie books. But I haven't actively read anything in a while. Well,
it's cool. You can just read the trade when Spawn comes out with. Oh, never mind. Damn it.
Yeah, what it is because I do the What's in the Box. So I read the indie comics for the What's in the Box. So, and most of the time, I spend most of my time reading online and just researching stuff. So I haven't had time to sit. Like I bought the Will Smith's book, and I have it ready to read it, but I haven't had time to sit down and just isolate myself because I had 5 Kickstarter campaigns last year, and I just started this one.
I can't imagine. I did 2 last year. No, I did 3 total. 3 total. I did 2 issues of Voodoo Child and 1 issue of Bigfoot Knows Karate. And it was anxiety and sometimes depression and all kinds of other feelings wrapped into one. I can't imagine doing 5. That is...
Yeah,
that's a job, dude.
Yeah, talking to you, I just got the alert. I just made gold after 13 days. So, so I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, thank goodness. We're at 62 backers, and there's 88 who are still watching it who haven't been converted. So I'm hoping that they're just waiting for the last 2 days.
Awesome. Well, where can people find this campaign? It's on Kickstarter.
It's on Kickstarter. There's an alien in my toilet.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there's again. If we get to 150 backers, I will be raffling off this 6-inch figure of Duty. It's military Duty. It'll be custom painted by me. And so, I'll be raffling one off. We get to 150 backers or 5K, whichever comes first.
Nice. So you guys, everybody needs the Duty. Back this book, possibly win a Duty. He will mail a Duty to you.
Yes.
And what else do they need to find? Catch the Craze.
Catch the Craze podcast is with a DA, not a THE. Catch the Craze. We've interviewed everybody, and we continue to find the new voices of the future of independence, our current independence. We have experienced indies and the up and comers. So this is a great way for you to and not just in comics. I mean, we've had puppeteers, we've had cosplayers, we've had musicians, we've had actors. So if you're an independent and you're making your own path in life, and whatever medium in the arts you're doing, we want you on Catch the Craze.
And occasionally you'll have my dumbass on. So yes. I appreciate it. And dude, Samuel, thank you so much for coming on. Again, I apologize for the drop. I'm shocked and amazed that it has continued to go smooth after that one hiccup. But man, you guys, there's an alien in my toilet. Track it down, get it. It is all ages for the family. Super fun book. The art is phenomenal. Can you tell us about who all is on this team? Is it just you?
I do. I'm the writer, creator, and artist. I have a variant cover by Maciek Empro, who's an artist from Poland. George did a variant cover, and all the other covers are by me. So there's a Matrix cover, there's a Rambo cover, there's no homage to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I did, and then there's the sketch cover as well.
That's awesome. What was your impetus to do the movie themed covers? Because I'm looking at the Rambo cover right now. It's fantastic. It is everything you would want a Rambo tribute cover to be. And he looks battle weary, and I wouldn't mess with that duty. That's all I'm saying.
Well, because there's an into my toilet that the first issue is First Flush. And so First Blood Rambo, First Flush. I said, you know what? I need to have a Rambo cover.
And the Matrix cover also is pretty phenomenal. I love that he's taken the black pleather duster jacket and he wears it well. It's fantastic, man. I'm super stoked for your campaign. You guys do yourselves a favor. Catch the craze. Also, there's an alien in my toilet. You have to back this book. And what's in the box? I'm going to have to subscribe. I'm going to have to track this show down because I'm just really stoked on what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
Samuel Vera, thank you again for coming on the show. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
No, just follow your dreams and have fun doing it.
Dude, that's good. Thank you again for coming on. And anytime you want to come on, dude, give me a heads up.
You got it, buddy.
All right, take it easy, brother.
You too. Peace.
Spaghetti! And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out spoilerverse.com, because at spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers, and oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at spoilerverse.com, and I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery
We put out
Point
episodes
Radio.
all the time. Go check all of them out. And check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you. Every day on spoilerverse.com for you to check out and to read and to love and to like and to comment. We have a store link. If you want to help support the site, you can do it two ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry, or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And, maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once, and really, I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In oceans of podcasts,
We are Cthulhu.
as Cthulhu compels you to
Spaghetti. Open the mind.
and read more.
Spaghetti.
Do you listen to podcasts that sound like this? Hey, welcome back to the Super OK Podcast, where our audio sounds mediocre.
Or do you prefer podcasts that sound more like this? Crisp, clear, fun, easy to listen to, and full of awesomeness? Well, then you should check out Spoiler Country, hosted exclusively over at spoilerverse.com.